Many of you will know that I am an enormous Valiant Comics fan. In fact, it's my favorite little universe. I like Valiant Comics kind of, when it's done right, I like it more than DC. I like it more than Marvel. I will freely admit that a fully functioning, awesome Valiant Comics universe is inconsequential in comparison to Marvel and DC and all that stuff. But for yours truly, the Valiant comic universe, when it's done right, is just absolutely perfect. It's kind of nice and small. They got all these awesome characters that I personally love. In fact, one of my children might be named after a Valiant Comics hero named Exo-Man-O-War. And unfortunately, ever since Dinesh Shamdasani sold Valiant Comics to, is it DMG? I think that's what it is. I think it's like a Chinese entertainment company or whatever. They wanted to make movies. There were deals out there. We were going to have the Bloodshot movie. And they basically just destroyed the comic book universe. We haven't been getting very many good comic books out of Valiant for 3 or 4 years now, maybe longer than that. The only thing that really jumps to my mind that has been good was a Shadow Man series from Cullen Bunn. That was really, really cool. And then they did like a team-up thing that was also good by Cullen Bunn, but I can't even remember the name of it at this point. And then there was a good issue of Bloodshot from Dennis Camp, the guy that's going to be on the Ultimates. But other than that, I haven't really liked it. They haven't done Exo-Man-O-War very well. They put Dennis Hopeless Hallam on there. They put Clunrat on there. They did put Dan Abnett on Rye, another one of my favorite characters, and even he didn't do very well. But Valiant went through some very, very hard times, specifically during COVID. I think they had to get rid of their building, and they've been publishing for 2 or 3 years now, I think almost quarterly. Sometimes they'll have 2 books come out every quarter, something like that. And everything they announce doesn't really finish, and nothing ever goes anywhere. They announced the Year of Valiant, I think, when Heather Ontos was still there. That didn't work. And now we're doing like the Resurgence of Valiant and the road to the Resurgence of Valiant Comics or whatever. I have no hopes for this whatsoever, but I am an enormous Valiant fan, and I do have some ideas what they're going for here. And we have, I think, 7 titles that we're going to talk about that are going to go into this with lots of writers and lots of artists you've never heard of. The couple that you have aren't very good. There's one good writer in here, but he's doing something that I do not think fits him. But let's get to all the gory details and why I have no hope for the resurgence of the Valiant Comics universe. The Valiant's #1, written by Ryan Cady, art by Al Barrionuevo. A mysterious sinkhole emerges in the heart of DC, devouring the newly erected Exo Memorial statue in its depths. But this is no ordinary sinkhole. It's a gateway to the faraway, a realm beyond imagination, teeming with peril and unknown wonders. Prepare for an epic adventure as Jamie Capshaw, the mastermind behind Valiant's new team, brings together an ensemble of extraordinary characters, including the iconic Eternal Warrior, Ninjak, Bloodshot, and other guest stars. I like Jamie Capshaw. She was like the U.S. government liaison to Exo-Man-O-War when he first arrived from space. And she's a good character. She got promoted a few times. I think last time I saw her, she was like a colonel or something. Maybe she's General Capshaw by now. I don't know why they have an Exo like Man-O-War memorial statue. He's still alive, to my knowledge. I don't think they've killed him off yet. And Exo Man-O-War did cause a lot of headaches for the U.S. government, even though he was working in conjunction with them. So the people that he saved along the way could like live in Nebraska, but they've kind of dropped all that stuff. You know, a team of Eternal Warrior, Ninjak, Bloodshot, other guest stars. You know, you're kind of missing Exo Man-O-War. I don't know why you had the Valiants without him. He is kind of the flagship character. But you get the other 2 parts of the Valiant Trinity, if you want to call it that, Ninjak and Bloodshot. The 4th character of note that you would expect to maybe be in something like this would be Shadow Man. He's nowhere to be found. I'm not really sure why, because he's the one character they got right over the last 4 or 5 years. But I don't know. It seems pretty generic. And I don't remember what Faraway is. Like, there's a realm that they go to where like the undead are, but it's not called Faraway. So I don't even know what they're getting at on that one. We'll see what happens there. Next up, we have Faith Returns, written by Jody Hauser, art by Aletta Vidal. When Faith's world crumbles under the weight of a wrongful accusation. Like, you're seeing the cover now, and you see just how overweight Faith is. Like, why would you open it up with Faith's world crumbles under the weight of? Like, it just opens itself up to a joke. She turns into the enigmatic Capshaw for aid, but every favor has its price, and now Faith finds herself in debt, not only to Capshaw, but also Gate. Can she navigate the dangerous web of alliances to emerge victorious? Even when Valiant was doing well under Dinesh Shamdasani, and I think Warren Simmons was the EIC or whatever. Like, Faith always sold half of whatever the worst selling Valiant book besides Faith was. There's just never been any interest in this character. I understand you want body positive heroes or whatever. I think her original name was Zephyr, which was a terrible name for a superhero. It's certainly a plus size superhero with that. The character looks horrible. The character has never done anything impactful, and no one, or for the most part, I don't want to say nobody. Obviously, somebody likes Faith. I think I saw someone cosplay as her one time, but this is a character that's so unpopular that, like, it's insignificant. It's kind of stupid. To my knowledge, Jody Houser is the only writer that's ever written this character, and I feel bad for Jody for being saddled with fucking Faith. She's like a millstone around her neck. She's the only original character fucking Jody Houser ever gets to work with. She does Marvel work. She can only adapt stuff that already exists. And she gets here and she's stuck with Faith rather than a character that means anything. But I mean, just you look at the cover, like nobody cares. Next up, we have Exo Man of War Invictus #1, written by Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad. Cloonrad. Art by Fernando Hines Furukawa. Exo Man of War's unyielding quest for justice drives him to the heart of Nova Romanos to rescue the enigmatic soothsayer, unveiling an odyssey that tests power, loyalty, and the essence of heroism. Amidst the chaos, Shanhara, the sentient armor, falls silent, shrouding the bond between warrior and armor in mystery. As Exo Man of War battles on multiple fronts, the arrival of cosmic wonder Ivar adds a layer of complexity to the intricate tapestry of fate. So, Cloonrad were writing Exo Man of War the last time they were doing it. It wasn't very good. I don't think they get the character. I've read a lot of Exo Man of War. One of my children's name is Eric, and it starts with an A because he's named after Eric of Dacia, Exo Man of War. And I've never been, wow, Exo Man of War is on an unyielding quest for justice. That's not who the character is. He's certainly a warrior and all that stuff, but he doesn't really, sure, he wants justice. I'm sure what he needs it, but that's not really what drives the character at all. Adding Ivar, I think he's the time something. He's like a time jumper. He's the brother of the Eternal Warrior, Gilead, I believe. Because I think there's 3 brothers. And I'm pretty certain Ivar's like the time slider, or he's the time something. So adding a guy that can jump through time, somewhat interesting. I love Exo Man of War. He's my favorite comic book hero, period. I just got that deluxe edition of Exo Man of War Volume 1 from Robert Venditti signed, and it's like my prized possession. And I'll likely keep it until the day I die, and then I'll give it to my son that I named after the character because it means so much to me. And as the world's biggest Exo Man of War fan, or potentially, I don't know how many other people are naming their children after the character. The fact that I have no interest in this, and the art, no offense to this person, but it was illustrated by Liam Sharp before, and the art at least was good, even though the story sucked. And the art on this one is bad. In fact, I would say maybe this is the better one. Maybe it looks the best, but a lot of the other ones, the art just almost across the board looks terrible. So take that with what you will. If you're a Cloonrad fan, I hope you like the series. If you're an Exo Man of War fan, I hope you love the series. As an Exo Man of War fan, I've read Cloonrad. I will pick it up, the first issue at least. I'll be incredibly disappointed, and I'll move on my way and go back and read some more Robert Venditti or Matt Kent or fucking Jim Shooter Exo Man of War when it was actually good. Next up, we have Ninjak and Roko #1, written by AJ Ampadu, art by Emiliano Horia. The line between ally and foe blurs as these 2 extraordinary warriors clash in a battle that will redefine the very essence of danger. Ninjak's latest mission catapults him into a face-off with the lethal and enigmatic Roku. In a pulse-pounding race against time, Ninjak finds himself at odds with his formidable adversary, both vying for the same coveted prize. Ninjak versus Roku makes sense. I've never heard of this writer. Once again, the art doesn't look very good, but I'm surprised they don't mention it there. Like, Ninjak and Roku used to be lovers. Like, they were in love and all that kind of stuff, and then she turned on him after, I don't know, she was kind of turned to the dark side. That's about the best way I can put that one. It's been a while since I actually read that story. There's an awesome Matt Kent Ninja K at the time. Now they've gone back to Ninjak run where he fights Roku, obviously, and there's a silent issue as he goes through like her entire army to get to her, written by Matt Kent. It's absolutely awesome, and I can't remember the artist on it, but the art is really good too. Ninjak versus Roku, cool. Like I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. Like it makes sense they're fighting. I don't know what they're fighting over. They don't really tell you. They don't even insinuate at it. And then they don't mention that they have a long-standing relationship, that like she used to be the love of his life, but she's not anymore. So Roku, cool character. Ninjak is awesome. He's basically like, what if Batman was 007? You know what I mean? Like he's a self-made billionaire that doesn't work for the government, but contracts out to them and has a lot of capabilities similar to Batman. I love Ninjak. They should have put Matt Kinn on Batman a long time ago after his fucking Ninja K run, which is absolutely amazing. If you never read that, go read that. And then also go read the Robert Venditti X-O Man of War book as well, because it's great. Bloodshot Unleashed Reloaded #3, written by Mauro Montoya, art by Rodrigo Rocha. The epic arc of the fugitive Psyops from the dump continues, and in this issue, Bloodshot will have to face the latest and most dangerous of them, New Blood, an unstoppable messianic being who seems to want to put an end to Bloodshot and every living being on the planet. Bloodshot's a really cool character. This is going to sound weird, but trust me, it works. He's almost like if you took Dr. Manhattan, you know, where he's beyond humanity. Is that the best way to put it? To where he doesn't feel human anymore. Bloodshot, you know, is like nanotech that's based on a guy, but he's not really that man anymore. And he doesn't know if he should let go or if he can let go and all that kind of stuff. But then he's also more like the Punisher, to where he's very likely to pick up a gun and blow a hole in you. And there's a good reason they made that like the opening movie, you know, with Vin Diesel or whatever, because that was the character that most people would have gotten a little bit easier than an X-O Man of War, where you basically have a Visigoth warrior in a Iron Man suit. People like that would have been a little bit more difficult and more expensive, but it didn't work. I believe this is a continuation of the Dennis Camp Bloodshot Unleashed, which I think he only did one issue, and it was good, but I don't remember seeing a second issue, and I think this is continuing on that, but now it's part of the Resurgence of Valiant, or the Road to Resurgence, or whatever. Bloodshot's a cool character. Jeff Lemire did a lot of work with Bloodshot for a long time. He did several arcs with him during the Dinesh Shamdasani stuff. I'm not the biggest Jeff Lemire fan on a personal level, but as a writer, he's really good. But then they've just done a bunch of really bad stuff. They put Tim Seeley on him for some reason. The Brett Booth art on that is awesome, but the Tim Seeley writing is really bad. So I wish I could tell you I have faith in any of these things, but not really. Next up, Rye, the Book of Dark, #1, written by Dan Abnett, art by Emilio Utrera. Hold on to your seats as Rye and Raijin face off against their ultimate nemesis, the sinister Dark. Brace yourselves as the storytelling maestro Dan Abnett returns triumphantly to conclude his epic run on Rye in this mini-series. So I've mentioned Matt Kinn a couple of times, and he wrote what is my favorite comic story of all time. It starts in his Rye series, and it concludes in 4001 AD, which is an event series that is about Rye. And it's all one story. It's really, really good. It's my favorite comic book story of all time. And then Dan Abnett came in after, I guess, the DMG acquisition, and they wanted to do another Rye book, and he did not get the character whatsoever. And now apparently Rye is married to another woman that's like a Rye. Well, I mean, there were other Ryes, and there's certainly a female one, and it looks like they had a Rye baby. And it's real strange. Like, it doesn't make sense for the character. I never got the impression that he wanted to have a family. I don't know. I wish this was great, because I do love Dan Abnett. I think Dan Abnett is fantastic. If you like the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, go read the Dan Abnett fucking run on Guardians of the Galaxy, because that's where they mined it from. But there's a lot more awesome stuff in it. He's really, really good. If you like Alien and Predator and Prometheus, or the idea of Prometheus, you know, with the what do they call them, the architects or whatever, but you realize there haven't been any good Alien or Predator movies for a long time, go read his Alien versus Predator versus Prometheus series. It's just fantastic stuff. But he just for some reason, it's almost like he never read up on the character or realized what he was doing. So he's going to finish it up. I think this is only two issues. I'll definitely check it out and hope for the best. But the art in this one does not fit the character whatsoever. Like, this is like in 4,000 years or 2,000 years in the future, and he lived on a satellite that was orbiting the Earth called New Japan. and he's like a fucking cyborg samurai that could transport himself around the world and stuff. And you need to have a really slick artist, like somebody that that has a style that says, you know, like it's like super fucking sci-fi. And this guy doesn't have it. Finally, we got Eternal Warriors, Last Ride of the Immortal #1, written by Fred Van Lent, art by Alvaro Papagnani. When the sands of time shift, the Anipada clan, led by the enigmatic Ivar, embark on a daring quest through history to mend the threads of fate, joined by his siblings Aram, known as Armstrong, Gilad, the Eternal Warrior, and the formidable Vexana, the Warmonger. They set their sights on the infamous OK Corral, a crucible of legend where Wyatt Earp and his cohorts once roamed. Prepare for a time-twisting adventure where heroes clash, destinies collide, and the fabric of reality hangs in the balance. So there you go. They're mentioning the brothers. So I left out Aram, who's the guy from Archer and Armstrong, the guy from the future. So he's Armstrong, Gilad, the Eternal Warrior, and then Ivar. He's like the time something. I can't remember what it is. How come I forgot this? Of all the books, this one has, I guess, the most potential to be good. I don't think Fred Van Lent is particularly good, but he's not particularly bad either. He just kind of sits there in the middle. Why would the Eternal Brothers go back in time to fight Wyatt Earp at the OK Corral? I'm not really sure. Maybe you could make it work and you can sell it. Obviously, all of this stuff is going to be miniseries. It's a very weird premise. But okay. If I was going to buy a book, regardless of character and interest in that character, and I read the creative teams and the pitches for them, I would read Eternal Warriors, The Last Ride of the Immortal #1, but I wouldn't be expecting much. But if I was going to read a book based on the character I love, it would be Exo Man of War. #2 would be Rai. And I don't know, man. I love Valiant Comics. If you can go back and read the Dinesh Shamdasani era when it was relaunched, you know, he acquired Valiant, relaunched it, new ideas or updated ideas for all the characters. It's brilliant until about 2018. When he sells the company, and it really does all go to crap. There's a Ninja K run by Christos Gage, which goes past that, but is perfectly good. But the Matt Kent Exo Man of War that was going at the time just dies almost immediately because he had to bring him back to Earth. And then they wanted to go into Harbinger Wars 2, which did not make sense, and everything kind of falls apart. And like I said, there was a good Shadow Man series that broke out into an event a couple of years ago, but I'm not even sure if that ended. So there you go. I am the world's biggest Valiant fan, but my goodness, it's hard to get excited about any of this. I don't know, man. If you're looking for more comic book coverage and comic book reviews and all that kind of stuff, movies, television, comic books themselves, I definitely want to invite you to come over and check out the Patreon. You can also ask me any question you want about the Valiant universe and why I love it so much during the Q&A, which is on the Docker's Right tier, I believe. If you haven't checked that one out, lots of fun stuff going on the Patreon. There's a link in the video description. And I do hope to see you there.